guys, welcome to session 3 of our Mindful Minutes program. I've really enjoyed putting these together and I hope that you have gained from listening, watching and doing the worksheets and journal entries so far. Today's class is all about, I'm not going to say class, I'm not a school teacher. Today's session is all about finding stillness. Meditation, being quiet, trying not to be stimulated for a period of time, they all constitute being still or finding stillness. Why is finding stillness important? Oh my gosh, I could go on for days as to why, but let's just perhaps think about how often we don't find stillness. Maybe kind of quickly rack through your brain a standard day in your life, right? How often do you spend the time in your day being stimulated? By schoolwork, by people, by a device, television, colors, sounds. Our senses, our 5 senses are stimulated constantly. And everything we see, hear, smell, taste and touch then creates busyness in our mind and creates theories and understanding and knowledge of how we think this world operates that we then take on as our own and then we behave in that way, right? So we are constantly surrounded by noise. And when you're surrounded by noise, when you don't find moments of stillness, that's often when you don't hear really powerful things, like check in on how you're feeling, check in on your mindset, check in on your intuition. So when we don't check in, when we're not mindful and quiet and still, we allow everything and everyone around us to dictate how we show up in the world. Being mindful requires you to build awareness of yourself. And the only way to build awareness of yourself is to start to learn about yourself. And the only way you can learn about yourself is to be quiet and still and really hear what it is you're saying to yourself. Yeah? So how do we learn about something else? We gain knowledge and insight and information about that thing, right? How do we learn about somebody else? We ask them questions, they give us answers, that gives us insight into who they are. How do we learn a subject, a language, a skill, using a manual to turn on the TV? We read it, we attain that knowledge, then we have more awareness about that person or that thing. How do you learn about yourself? You find stillness and you listen. You hear yourself. You create space in your world to really, really hear yourself. Now that's really powerful and might even go over some people's heads. It certainly did for me for many, many years. But the truth is that things like meditation and finding stillness are actually not practiced very often because they're scary and they're overwhelming. Sitting with yourself and your thoughts for a long period of time might not necessarily be a walk in the park for most people, because often our thoughts aren't kind. Often our feelings inside of us are not kind. And when we are distracted, it means we're detracted away from them. We don't really need to sit in them and acknowledge them. When we're quiet and not distracted by noise and stimulation, that's when we have to kind of sit in them and hear them. But what finding stillness allows us to do is not hear them and be consumed by them, but rather hear them for what they are and be able to make a bit more sense of them. One of my meditation teachers used this really awesome analogy that I want to share with you. And he spoke about when we're still and quiet and we start to see pictures or play out scenarios in our head or think thoughts or feel feelings. He wanted us to kind of look at them as if we were watching ourselves in a movie. So we weren't ourselves, we were watching ourselves. Does that make sense? It's wild, huh? So I'm sitting here quietly with my eyes closed and I'm playing out a situation that maybe happened in my work or family environment. I'm feeling a feeling that's really prominent for me. Maybe I start to feel a bit anxious in my chest, my heart starts to race. And instead of me going, oh my God, I feel anxious, I feel anxiety, I'm going, I can notice that there are feelings of anxiety there. I'm not anxious, I'm not anxiety. I just notice that there are feelings of anxiety there. Does that make sense? It's really profound. And when we start to be able to do that through stillness, we realize that we are not our thoughts, we are not our feelings, and we have way more control over them than we even ever knew. Not only that, stillness is powerful because it allows ourselves just to be still and quiet and not stimulated and confused by all of this crazy noise going on. And that's powerful, so powerful, because that's when we create space in our mind to think new thoughts, to have creative inspiration, to get a little light bulb moment and realize or work something out that we never have before. You know when you talk to someone and they're like, oh, I lost my train of thought. Hold on. And they stop. And they're like, quiet. I lost my train of thought. Ah, there it is. What I was saying. They had to stop, right? They had to be quiet. They had to press pause on all the thoughts and create space for that thought to kind of flood back in and remind them what it is that they were talking about. So, as I said already, stillness can be really wonderful. Well, not can be, is really wonderful, but can also be really confronting. Now, if you've got lots going on when you're still, lots of emotions, lots of feelings that are overwhelming, lots of thoughts, I'm going to invite you to do this today. Put them on a cloud and let them drift away. And if that doesn't work for you, if that's too fluffy and cliche, try this. Let them know that you are aware of them and that you will get back to them. Talk to them in your mind. You can say it out loud if you're in the privacy of your home. No one will think you're crazy, don't worry. Talk to them. Thank you for showing me that you are there. You will not serve me right now. So I'm just going to leave you to the side and I'll deal with you later. Because the truth is, you're sitting here quiet in meditation, right? And an overwhelming feeling of anxiety arises. That feeling can't serve you right now. It's there, you're aware of it, and it's got weight because something's triggered that. But right now, that feeling can't serve you and it can't hurt you. You are safe in exactly where you are right now. So instead of putting the anxiety jacket on and wearing it and suddenly you're anxious and you remove yourself from stillness, you can be aware of the anxiety. You can note that it's there trying to give you a message and tell you something, but right now it doesn't serve you. And if you do that enough with your feeling of anxiety, you'll give anxiety less ammunition to be there. You'll stop feeding the feeling of anxiety. Do you get what I mean? Our emotions grow when we feed them, when we add fire to it. Does that make sense? The more energy we give the emotion, the bigger the emotion. You start to laugh, and then suddenly you laugh a bit harder, and then suddenly you're uncontrollably laughing. You've given laughing so much energy that that's all you can do. You can't stop laughing. Has that ever happened to you in class? That used to happen to me all the time, yeah? Or you're crying, and what starts with a little tear down your face, you start to think about the situation that made you cry, and you start to get really emotionally involved in the situation, and suddenly you're convulsing and you can't stop crying. The more energy you give the emotion, the bigger it will become. So right now, if you're sitting still and an emotion comes up, don't give it any energy. Don't give it any weight. Don't ignore it. Don't suppress it and push it down. That's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm just asking you not to embellish in it. To note that you are safe right now and that emotion can't serve you any further. Should we give it a try? Should we try meditating for a little bit? I'm going to guide you at the start and then I'm going to leave you quiet for 2 minutes. And see how you go. If you start to think a lot and whatever, don't be hard on yourself. Don't be angry toward yourself. Just note that there's lots of stuff going on inside and give it as little energy as you can. All right. When you're ready, today I'm going to invite you to flip your palms up and just connect your index finger and your thumb into a circular position and then close your 3 outside fingers. You got it. It's just a little hand mudra to say we're open to receiving. Okay, draw your chin toward your chest and lengthen your spine and then close down your eyes. If you feel comfortable, you can keep them open as well. If you want to keep them open, just focus on one particular point in front of you and try to keep that focus. Okay, I just want you to shrug your shoulders up to your ears. And then as you breathe out, just let them fall down your spine. Try 2 more like that. Shrug them up to your ears. And down. And last one, up to your ears. Breathe out, let them fall. Good. I want you to notice, without touching, how your belly and chest rise on the breath in and then fall on the breath out. Just notice the rising and the falling. And every time you fall with the exhale, you notice that your body is getting a little calmer, a little more relaxed, a little softer. I want you to almost imagine that I've cut a circular shape around the top of your head and taken the lid off, and all of the thoughts and noise within your mind are just kind of flooding out, creating some space in your mind to just be quiet. And if it can't be quiet, whatever noise is in there, it's very quiet. They're just whispers. Whenever you feel distracted, just go back to the rise of the chest and the fall of the chest on your exhale. And just note right now, there is nowhere you have to be. There is nothing you have to do except for being right here, right now in this present moment. I'm going to be quiet now for 2 minutes, and I invite you just to try and be as still as you can and keep referring back to the rise and fall of your chest. You can gently blink open your eyes. Well done. I hope that wasn't too overwhelming. There is now a worksheet to complete for this week that is a bit of a summary of the past 2 weeks. And these worksheets, don't think of them as work. I shouldn't even call them worksheets, right? Think of them as reflective sheets. So you can really start writing down and practicing what it is you gain from these sessions. Have the best day and week ahead. Namaste.